Hey families, my name's Tyler, and I want to welcome you to our online experience for kids. I'm so excited because it's a brand new month, which means we get to talk about brand new things. And this month, we're talking about how it looks like to take everything that we know and completely turn it upside down. And so I want to ask you this question. If everything in our world, the way that it works, was turned upside down, and your family no longer had to pay for anything that you wanted to do, you could do whatever you wanted to do, go wherever you want to go, and eat whatever type of food you want to eat for completely free, what would a perfect day for your family look like? I want you to do this. I want you to circle up together. I want you to talk about and have fun with what that day would look like. And I want you to pick one person that's going to write that down in the comments and share with all of us, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or Church Online, what that perfect day would look like. I know what my perfect day would look like. It would be me hopping on a plane, going to the nearest beach, having my toes in the sand, my sunglasses on, and a huge, fat, medium rare steak in my lap. And I'm not talking just lunch or dinner. I'm saying breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all three meals. That would be the most perfect day if it were up to myself. And to be honest, I have a tendency to put myself in front of other people. And this month, we're talking about what it looks like to turn that idea completely upside down. It's a word that we're talking about called humility. I want you to say that to yourself out loud. Humility. Humility is this idea of putting others before ourselves. And we have a perfect example of what that looks like through the life of Jesus. And what we're going to learn today is what Jesus did by being humble. It completely changed the world forever. Check this out. Have you ever had a bad day? I mean, when you got up in the morning, from when you got up to when you went to bed that night, it just seemed like nothing went right. I remember this one time I went to Sonic and I got the biggest drink, the Route 44 size drink. And I guess when I went to grab it, I grabbed it by the lid and the whole drink just fell out of the whole bottom just fell out, and I was covered in cherry limeade for the whole rest of the day. I mean, my whole day just seemed like it never got better. I can't even imagine having that happen for a week in a row, consecutive days in a row. Jesus had a week like that though. It was actually this week leading up to Easter. It started off and Jesus was riding into this city for this big religious festival with some of his closest friends. And when he rode into the city, he rode in on a donkey. And I think, man, that would be pretty sweet. I may be afraid to ride horses, but a donkey would be pretty different and pretty cool. And as he was riding into the city, people lined the streets and they threw palm branches down on the ground. What they were doing was they were treating Jesus like a king. That would be such a cool moment. And later that evening, what was really cool was Jesus circled around this table with some of his closest friends, and they ate this huge meal together. Now, if that's how my week started off, I would think, man, how does this go bad? Like, how is this week a bad week for Jesus? Well, while all this was happening, one of Jesus' friends, his name was Judas, he got up from the table, he walked out, and he went and saw a group of men. And for a little bit of money, I'm not talking really cash, I want you to think pocket change. Those coins that you find underneath your couch pillows or in your parents' cars. For a little bit of change, he completely turns his back on Jesus and betrays him. And he hands Jesus over to a group of men. And they begin to plot out how they're going to go and arrest Jesus. Can you imagine if one of your best friends betrayed you? How much that would hurt? I would be so angry with those friends. Not to mention Judas did that, but Jesus had to tell his friends, he knew eventually, the rest of the guys around this circle eating this meal with me, they're going to do the exact same, and they're going to act like they don't even know who I am, and they want nothing to do with me. As the week went on, Jesus got up from the table, and he left with his friends, and he took them to this garden. And he went out in the garden on this mountaintop, and he told the guys, hey, I want you to pray with me. Remember, they have one job. I want you to pray with me. And Jesus left, and he went to pray, and as he was praying so hard. Like, have you ever worked out so hard that you just were dripping sweat? Well, Jesus prayed so hard that he started sweating drops of blood. Can you imagine how overwhelmed and upset Jesus must have felt? And when he gets done praying, he goes back to his friends, and guess what they're doing? They're sleeping. Like, guys, you had one job, and you couldn't even figure that out. In the moment that Jesus needed you the most, you're sleeping. And as the week would go on, this group of men, that Judas went to, remember, to be paid to arrest Jesus, has now turned into a mob. And not only these men, but some soldiers. They come to arrest Jesus, and they come to do it by force. Now, time out. If I'm Jesus, and I'm the most powerful person in the universe, and I know by a snap of the finger, I can go Incredible Hulk and Hulk smash all of these guys. If it were up to me and I were in Jesus' shoes or his sandals, I would step in and I would end these dudes, but not Jesus. You see, Jesus allows these guys to capture him. He allows them to take him and drag him to a place where he would be beaten. And ultimately, we know the story. He actually allows them to put him on a cross. And to cap off Jesus' worst week of his life, he dies. Why would Jesus do that? I mean, if I were Jesus, I would have stepped in by the snap of the fingers and I would have ended everything. And I would have went back and I would have put my toes in the sand. I would be on a beach somewhere with my sunglasses on, enjoying life, but not Jesus. Because what Jesus does, he gives us the perfect picture of this word humility. Because Jesus put others first. Jesus put his friends first. He put his enemies first. And ultimately, Jesus put you and I first, because we know the story. When Jesus died on the cross, it was to take away everything that you and I have ever done that's wrong and anything we will ever do that's wrong. Jesus paid the ultimate sacrifice by putting us before himself. And it's actually our bottom line for this week. And if you've got the ParentCue app, I want to encourage you to open that up, because you'll find this and some other questions about our teaching this morning in that app. But our bottom line is this: like Jesus, we are to put others first. I want you to say that again with me. Like Jesus, we are to put others first. That's our challenge this week. And I want to ask you this question to end this morning. As your family circles up, I want you to circle up together, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or Church Online. I want you to comment in the comments, how can our family put others first this week? Because how cool would it be in a time like this? How cool would it be for us to live out this truth of putting others first? Can you imagine what God can do? I hope you guys have a great week.